Good morning, Vietnam!
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are tonight's entertainment.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family.
Here's Johnny!
Whoa, this is heavy. I'm not even supposed to be here today.
Working on my day off.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 10th episode of the Showtime with Roman podcast. I am your host, Roman RBC, and today I have on a guest from Chicago, Illinois, home state, so it's good to get in someone from, basically my hometown. I didn't live in Chicago exactly. I lived just about an hour or so away, but my guest today is Tristan Mayer. How's it going, Tristan?
Hello, Roman. Great to be here. It's very exciting to finally be on the podcast.
Yeah.
You're from around here?
Yeah. Rockford, Illinois, born and raised.
Yep.
Funny story is yesterday at work, I was just doing my thing, and they were like, "Is your name Roman?" And I was like, thought they were just being ridiculous because of my name tag, and I was like, oh, it's just a typical teenager thing to do, that all that dumb stuff. And he was like, "You're from Rockford, right?" And I was like, okay, this is weird. And so he goes, "It's Brandon," and I'm like, "Brandon?" He's like, "Brandon Gaines," and it was just one of my elementary school friends, and I was blown away. My mind was completely blown, and he told me he'd been living out here for a couple years. And then I found out a year ago that one of the other girls I went to elementary school with, she lives out here as well. So I was like, okay, everyone from Rockford's moving to Queen Creek, Santan Valley, Arizona. But yeah, I'm super excited to have you on because when I first started the show, I always wanted to do a preview of movies because I just wanted people to go find us on social media, to find our work out there. And I was like, I gotta have Tristan on for Star Wars because you're one of the people I talk with consistently, not in threads, and we chat about Star Wars, Game of Thrones, what content we're creating, what we're working on. And so I was like, definitely have to get Tristan on because he's super intelligent, for one, and second, because great movie fan, of course, and a big Star Wars fan. So Last Jedi thoughts, because that's obviously the most important thing. Because obviously, I love the movie, and I've mentioned it a bunch of times, but I don't know if you're as high on it as I am.
Yeah, I remember us talking about it when it first came out, and you were definitely very high on it, and you kind of won me over on a few points. But yeah, I liked it. I have some problems with it. A few problems that I think might be fixed up in the next movie, just kind of things that were left unresolved and things that I was kind of confused about. Mm-hmm. But overall, I really liked it. I liked that it subverted expectations a lot, and I liked that it kind of took up the franchise, which is something that I think it really needed after Force Awakens. Because I liked Force Awakens a lot, but it was definitely sort of just a redoing of New Hope, and I think if they did this again with Empire, it would really turn people off a lot and sort of been like, okay, we're just repeating things here, but... I'm still every time I watch Last Jedi or think about it or see new information come out for it, I just always find myself just kind of I cannot believe people vehemently dislike this film. But I also think a lot of that is just a lot of people being oh, SJWs, blah blah blah. It's those types of people. And I think now it's turned into sort of a meme to hate on Last Jedi because everyone likes to do it online now.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. And there's people with true issues with the movie. You have some of your problems, and then, we know our Ryan McKenna's and Manning's and Brendan's that, take some issues with plot and stuff like that and direction. And that's fine. That's totally okay. But, Last Jedi really shifted the outlook of the franchise moving forward, not even just for the saga films, but for the spin-off films, which is obviously the big thing we're going to be previewing today later on. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of crazy that there are people who are not going to go see Solo just to boycott Disney, and it's
yeah, we'll see how that stands up once the movie comes out. It's easy to say you're not seeing it when you can't see it, but then when it's playing at your theater, are you not going to see it?
Yeah. I mean, there was a time, like, when Transformers was coming out, I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna see Transformers ever again, and I'm like, but everyone else is seeing it, and I heard it's awful, so I got to see it for myself. And well, having to endure every Transformer film in theaters is a lot of work. I saw Age of Extinction twice, and once in IMAX 3D.
Ouch.
Yeah, so that was.
I
Pretty
saw
bad
Emoji
experience.
Movie multiple times in theaters. That was my low point of my life, I think. But
Ouch. That's a lot of garbage to take in. So we're just gonna get into the first topic. We're gonna get into Jake Gyllenhaal potentially being cast as Mysterio in Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man Homecoming 2, Spider-Man Prom. Yeah. Whatever it's going to be. Spider-Man Winter Formal, Spring Formal, whatever it is. Spider-Man Summer School. I don't know. Anyways, so Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors. I think he is my favorite. I just love everything he brings to every performance he's been in. Again, I haven't seen everything, but out of everything I've seen, he's just been dynamite. From Prisoners to recently Nocturnal Animals, I thought he was magnificent in. He's just a great performer, and I've always wanted him in like a superhero movie because obviously that's like the big genre right now, and everyone's in one. You've got Michael Keaton's in there, you've got Robert Redford's in there, so many great talents, and now Jake Gyllenhaal, someone who I still believe he gets the credit he deserves, but sometimes I feel like he gets forgotten when people mention like Fassbender or like even like a McAvoy or even
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis, Oscar Isaac. I mean, he might not be Daniel Day-Lewis level, but I just always feel like he really gets into the performances. And for him potentially being cast as one of the more interesting villains in Spider-Man's catalog, it's exciting. It's incredibly exciting.
It really is.
So what are your thoughts on that?
I think it's really exciting just because you can tell these studios are going for like big hitting villains, especially these recent Spider-Man movies. They get Michael Keaton and now they get Jake Gyllenhaal. You can tell they're not kind of skimping on the villains for the casting. And for years, ever since Amazing Spider-Man came out, I've been saying I want Mysterio in a movie. He was my favorite villain as a kid, and I thought he was like always exciting and kind of weird. And I think now that Marvel's gotten into the more weird stuff, I think now's the perfect time because I think he can provide some kind of like trippy visual, some sort of, I don't know, just something weird and something different.
Yeah.
And Jake Gyllenhaal obviously is one of the best actors working today, and I like him in almost everything he's in. And even in movies that aren't that good, he's always good in them. So I think he'll elevate this movie. And the same way Michael Keaton did last time. Like even when there's people who don't like Homecoming, they'll be like, "Oh, Michael Keaton, he was really good."
Yeah, that was a big talking point when I got out of the Spider-Man Homecoming screening. Is everyone was raving about Michael Keaton and like that big reveal, when he's Liz's dad or whatever. And for me, like the one thing I'm still concerned about is because Jake Gyllenhaal is an incredible talent, and to me, Marvel Cinematic Universe has had 3 great villains out of like 19 or 20, and that not counting like the secondary villains like Justin Hammer or people like that. So Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm excited for the performance that he's going to bring to Quentin Beck / Mysterio because I feel like he's going to do an amazing job playing this sort of eccentric, maybe sort of type of guy that is trying to, make his name in the world, and, people like shoot his show down, because I remember that was like the big, like one of the big side missions in one of the Spider-Man video games, having to fight Quentin Beck and like him like messing with your mind and stuff like that. And so I feel like he is going to bring an amazing performance. I just get worried about like the characterization, because the other day when I was jotting down notes and reading some of the stories about Jake Gyllenhaal being cast as Mysterio, I found myself struggling to remember anything in Spider-Man Homecoming where they really took the time to sort of dive into like the complexity of Vulture, because I like Vulture a lot and I think he's a solid villain, but I just feel like there was a lot of missed opportunity there to capitalize on a lot of things, and that's one of my big concerns. Is I don't want Jake Gyllenhaal to be Mysterio and for him to either be killed off in his first film a la Killmonger, or just again like not really diving into like what makes him such a great character.
Yeah, I think my biggest problem with Michael Keaton's Vulture is that we don't really see the complexity, like you said. I mean, we're told about it, like you said, oh, I'm doing this to my family, I'm doing this to my daughter, but it's
Yeah.
one thing to be told that, it's one thing to have a scene where we see that, you know? And I think,
Yeah, because
I don't know, I think Jake Gyllenhaal, he's more,
No,
I think he'd be more like a controlling, sort of. Like, he'd kind of insist that there's more to the character, there's more to the script. I
yeah.
don't think he'd just kind of settle for
Oh,
whatever
yeah.
with a superhero movie.
Yeah, neither do I. Now that you mention it, because he's not picky like a Tom Hardy per se, but he's someone that like he knows a good script when he sees one, and I don't think he's gonna go as maniacal as he did in Nightcrawler because that is just another level of insane.
Yeah.
But I feel like he's gonna bring a lot of just interesting little tidbits there. And even though I haven't seen all of Okja, I feel like a lot of his character in that, a lot of that performance in there, anyways. I feel like he can bring some of that, sort of like that wild, wacky, sort of weird. So we'll see what we get. But like even going back to Vulture again, like for me, like it's just because even when Peter shows up at the door, he never like appears as like a family man to me either though. Like he just kind of talks in like this weird like sort of demeaning way, and it's like he's not really acting any different than he would if he were being a villain. And I just thought that was kind of weird because even like that one scene too, like he's shown as like this family man, and he shoots that guy and he thought it was a different gun. Like I feel like if he were like an actual like regular guy just trying to sell parts for money to provide for his family, then he would have acted differently. So I don't know. Spider-Man: Homecoming's weird. I've only seen it twice, and I get worried to watch it again because I'm afraid it's not gonna be as decent as I remember. But those are just a couple things, and because Spider-Man has such a great catalog of villains. Like after Batman, it's Spider-Man's villains, and it's really important that I feel like they nail the villains because a lot of the villains in Spider-Man's catalog are similar to Batman's. They bring out a lot of Batman's traits and personalities in him, and hopefully Mysterio can sort of do that. So I'm excited. But,
yeah, we're looking forward to it.
So hopefully we get a decent title. Hopefully we get a cool costume design because I don't want to see him just floating around in like a fishbowl. That'd be kind of funny.
Oh yeah, I'm wondering what they'll do with that because he has that like iconic fishbowl head, but that would look so ridiculous in like a live action movie that's trying to take itself any seriously at all.
Yeah, I know. I'm definitely curious. Boss Logic did a couple images, and I was like, okay, I can kind of buy that, but I don't know. I feel like they're gonna sort of do it in a way that was similar to what Vulture did, where they're probably just gonna up the tech, and maybe there's gonna be some sort of technology to sort of, I don't know, make him seem different. I don't know. I'm excited because he's a really cool villain, and I thought we were gonna get Kraven in the second movie, but we're getting Mysterio, and that's just as exciting.
Yeah, I think it's a big risk too because it's such a weird character that I think it shows they're kind of confident they can pull it off.
Yeah.
They wouldn't go for that if they wanted something that's sort of simpler.
Exactly. I'm excited. So we'll see what goes down with Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. He's still in talks, so nothing is completely definitive, but it's just very likely. So now there isn't really too much in the news cycle this week. We've got a couple trailers that came out, but just none really worth spending too much time on. So we're just going to dive right into the meat of the show here. And we're going to be previewing Solo: A Star Wars Story. It's already premiered. It's already got a decent 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, so people are liking it, but there are clearly lots of people who don't think highly of it. And when it gets more reviews, maybe it could sniff the rotten side of Rotten Tomatoes, but which would not be good. But Solo: A Star Wars Story comes out tomorrow, and for me, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. It is a franchise that has just defined my life for the last 20 years. And it's got some amazing films, it's got some bad films, it's got some okay films. But Solo: A Star Wars Story, I have not been excited for this project since day one. I knew we were going to get it the second that Han Solo died in The Force Awakens. And I was always excited about who they were going to cast. And I was like, this is the most important part. Because if you're going to center the film around what I would consider one of the greatest characters ever, and my personal favorite, you gotta nail it. And Alden Ehrenreich, even though he's pretty good in Hail Caesar, every single piece of marketing, every line, every clip I've watched, he's had some good lines, no doubt about it. But there's just something off. And that's probably going to be the big talking point here, is that Alden Ehrenreich, he's got to bring it. he's got to sell me, and I feel like he hasn't sold me at all. And that could change tomorrow night, but I don't know. I'm not buying it. So what are your
I think
thoughts on
that's where we
that?
divide the most since we've been talking. I think you have been very not sure of Eldon Ehrenreich and his sort of like take on Han Solo, because I think he wanted something that was more close to the original Han, I guess. So more of like a like an impersonation, like that guy who's on YouTube that people have been trying to get to do it.
Anthony
Gruber, right? And I've been saying that I didn't want that. I wanted Alden to sort of do his own take, and so because as soon as you do an impression, all you're gonna be doing is that's not the exact way Han would say that. That's not how Han would say that. And like, I think Alden Ehrenreich doing his own thing is better, just because it's gonna set him apart. As long as it feels like Han, I don't need it to sound and like move and be like exactly like Han Solo. I just need to sort of have the tone of Han in a way, and I think he's captured that in the trailers. Plus, I think we're getting a different Han now. I think we're getting sort of like something in this movie is going to change Han into the character we see in New Hope. So I think the fact that he's a little different, a little off, is kind of intentional too. Because I think maybe he's now more hopeful, more kind of like optimistic. And something here is going to turn him into like the bitter Han we see sitting in that cantina, just kind of like laxing around, not really caring.
Interesting, yeah. And I feel like that's possible, and I feel like that could end up being the case. And I do anticipate, different qualities and traits from what we are familiar with in the original trilogy. And Lawrence Kasdan, his favorite character is Han Solo, and he's writing the movie, and he really cares about this character. I have read a couple things about some of the things they incorporate into the film that I'm not very sure of. And it's probably something early on in the film. Obviously not going to give it away here, but it's just something for me that just really, it hasn't sat right with me since I saw it, because there's not really too much to spoil for this movie. I mean, it's going to be the Kessel Run. You're going to see it finally. You're going to see Han team up with some people, and then that's it. I mean, Chewie's not gonna die. Han's not gonna die. I mean, maybe a couple of like his other characters besides Lando will pass, but it's just there's nothing really to spoil here. But there's a couple things that they're incorporating with Han specifically that are really, really concerning. And I really hope that it is better in execution than it is in concept, because it's just, to me, like, the beauty of the original trilogy of Star Wars is that when George Lucas created it, Han Solo's origin was covered in the cantina. Like, you just felt like you knew everything about this guy. Like, you knew he was bitter. You knew that he didn't really believe in the Force. You know that he was kind of just lackadaisical and was just always trying to get his way out of things by persuading people. And then if that didn't go right, he would shoot first. And I just felt like that was the perfect origin for Han, and to sort of get a more objectified origin where you can sort of get more details, more specifics. I just feel like it kind of takes away a lot of the magic of what I love about Han. But if the movie is more of what you're saying, in terms of maybe it's the story that forms him into who he was as a character that we fall in love with in A New Hope, then I'll be more forgiving and I'll be more accepting of that. And it's just really exciting to also get another Star Wars film, but also to see that they definitely want to traverse into more of these backgrounds of these characters, which is still, in a way, terrifying, but at the same time it's exciting, because the more you learn about someone, the more that you can fall in love with them. And I feel like hopefully that's what they can pull off. Not entirely confident in saying that, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think the biggest risk it's taking here is that we know pretty much everything that's going to happen. I mean, I haven't read any spoilers, but I'm sure we're going to get the Kessel Run. I'm sure we're going to be, here's when Han meets Chewie, and here's when they meet Lando, when they win the Falcon, when all of this goes on, and it's like, we're just going to hit like the beats of like the fan films and the fan theories over the past like 40 years. Yeah. And I think like, as long as I don't know how they're going to do something that we haven't already theorized over the past decades. Like, what are they going to do that's going to be shocking? Because they can't kill Han. They can't change the dynamic of the Han-Chewie relationship or the Han-Lando relationship. I mean, all of that's been established already. So I'm just not sure what they can do that hasn't already been told to us in these movies and in these comic books and in all these other things that we've been reading and following over the years.
Yeah, it's very strange because I really want them to do a lot of new and exciting things, but a lot of what I've seen, because I haven't been, this is the first Star Wars movie I've never been truly excited for heading in. Revenge of the Sith in 2005 was one of the peak hype moments for me. Seeing Darth Vader in the trailer and everything, and just being excited about that. And then even I was excited for Attack of the Clones when I was a kid, and Phantom Menace, and obviously those are what they are.
Yeah, we all were excited
but,
until we saw
them. But with this one, I had to see some clips, and obviously the clips they release aren't the full clips because there's some editing to jump around to just make it short. You get the sort of vibe of the scene. And the most important thing that stood out to me, and one of the things I'm going to talk about that I'm really excited about, because nothing is ever just completely negative. There's always some positives in there. And Bradford Young's cinematography is so good. When I was watching some of the clips, I was like, I feel like I'm watching a film from the 1970s. And that could always obviously never be a good thing, but it just, to me, captured the essence of Star Wars. And for someone that loves The Last Jedi, as mentioned previously, and so many times before, it's the cinematography in that is so wildly creative, and what he does with lighting and what he does with framing and stuff like that. And so this one, the way it's framed and the way it's lit and the way it's shot, it just feels like I'm watching a film from the original trilogy. It was kind of blew me away, and it sort of just pleased my nostalgia. And that's also a big concern at the same time, is that I don't want this movie to prey on my nostalgia. I saw one of the clips where it was really cool to hear and see certain things, but it's like, I don't know, like, I feel like with Force Awakens, like, it was important that movie was as nostalgic as it was, just to kind of bring people back in, get them back into the fold. But then I feel like they should have went away from that, and I feel like we still haven't gotten away from that outside of Last Jedi. So, I don't know. There's so many thoughts. Like, I literally don't know if I'm excited or if I'm too concerned at the same time with Solo. But what do you feel about the cinematography so far from the trailers?
Yeah, it's been visually just great to look at, I think. Especially I've seen just from the trailers that train heist looks really interesting, and just like the design of the train seems really unique, and like I think if anything it'll be a good movie to look at. Like any Star Wars movie's been pretty cool to look at, and my biggest problem with Rogue One was that it catered a lot to nostalgia. I mean, none of the characters now are pretty well established, but you saw Darth Vader, so that means it has to be a good movie, and like you saw the Death Star, so
yeah, Rogue One, man, I have no desire to see that movie again. And when I saw it, I gave it like a 3.5 or like a 4 maybe, and then I saw it again and I gave it like a 3. And it's like, the more I think about that movie, the more I just realize there's not really much for me to take away from that movie that I truly adore, outside of like really great cinematography, because it is dynamite. Like, it is mind-blowingly good.
Yeah, I think this movie has to get away from nostalgia to ever stand on its own. I think you can't just do fan tributes. You can't just be like, oh, I have a good feeling about this, and then like just keep doing the same things you've been doing. And because that's going to be fun in the moment of the theater, saying like, oh, look, that's from the movie, and that's from that, and then you're going to go home and think about it and be like, well, what really happened in this movie? And that wasn't just like a tribute to the Han we already knew, I think.
Yeah, it's so concerning, and I'm excited. Another John Williams score, and we're gonna get a Chewie theme, which is exciting. We're gonna get some other musical cues coming back from the original trilogy, maybe even the prequel trilogy. Who knows? But it's like there's so much to be excited about as a Star Wars fan, because Star Wars fans are the hardest fans to please in the world. And there's no doubt in my mind there's going to be people that say this is more of what The Last Jedi should have been in terms of like what Star Wars should accomplish. But then there's going to be people that are like, oh, this is too familiar. And the hardest fan base to please is the Star Wars fan base. And I feel like there's a lot in there in terms of cinematography, in terms of action, in terms of character work. Because the most important thing in Star Wars to me is characters. It's always been about characters. And I think that's why I'm so hard on Rogue One and the prequels, is because original trilogy in the new trilogy, episode 7 and 8 so far, have nailed characters. And for me, I feel like that's really important. And I feel like if they get the characterizations down of Han and Lando, Emilia Clarke's character, Kira, I think, I feel like if they nail those characters, then we're really going to be in for a good time, at least, because characters are so important. That's what gets invested. That's what gets you invested into the story, and they got to nail that.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Lando, and specifically, I think just because we don't know too much about Lando, like you don't know a lot about what he was before New Hope, and I think Han is pretty much established. Like we don't need a lot more of Han, but I think seeing more of Lando will be fun. And Donald Glover, I love Donald Glover. I love his comedy, his music, his acting, everything about him is just like interesting, and I think him taking this project is really exciting. It's his first like huge blockbuster he's gonna be in, so I think it'll be fun to see him take on Lando. It'll be fun to see how they weave in things we've been talking about and how they sort of make Lando an interesting character, because we don't know a lot about him, and I think there's a lot to learn about Lando versus Han, where there's not much that we need to know about him that we don't know already.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredibly exciting for Donald Glover, because I was never someone that was like a major fan of him, or I've never listened to his music. His type of music isn't really for me, but his This Is America video really just, like I said, I need to watch Atlanta, and I haven't watched it yet because I'm working on Westworld, as we've talked about. I'm working on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which is amazing, by the way. And I'm working on other shows, but I'm going to get to Atlanta because I feel like he's such an incredible talent. Just from that video, just completely blew my mind.
Yeah, Atlanta
it's stuck with me since I saw it.
Atlanta is fantastic. Just like it's very much his show. I think it's like he writes it and he directs a lot of it, and he's the star, and it's very much like a statement of his psyche and a statement of like what he wants to do. Especially in the second season, he just kind of gets off into whatever he wants to do. I think if you want to get a dive into Donald Glover, that's the place to start.
Yeah, I really can't wait, and I feel like he's the part I'm most excited about in this movie. Outside of the cinematography, is I feel like there's a couple lines from some of the clips that I heard. I was like, wow, that is a Lando line. Like, that is so good, because we haven't gotten enough of Lando. You know, we get him a little bit in the last quarter of Empire, and then we get him through most of 6, but there's so much going on in 6 that you kind of lose a little bit of Lando in there. But obviously he has that iconic moment where he blows up the Death Star, and that iconic hoop and holler from him. And what is it? Nub Nub or Yib
Nub?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm excited for more Lando, and I feel like he's gonna be the part that we walk away talking about the most, and that seems to be a big talking point for people that have seen it already. And I'm pumped for the costume design too. I think the costume design has really been really great as well. I'm really excited to learn more about Lando and kind of see his more of a dynamic with Han. There's that part in the trailer where they're in the Falcon and he's like, "You're gonna want to take a seat, baby," and I was like, it's such a good dynamic, because you know when they meet in Empire, you can feel that history, you can see it in their faces, you can see it in their actions, and I'm incredibly pumped to see what goes down with them. And I feel like that's story-wise, that's what I'm excited to see the most. I heard he doesn't really come into the movie until about midway through, I think.
That would make sense.
Or about a quarter of the way through, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's still Han's movie, and but you know they're talking about a Lando movie.
Yeah.
So if we need more stories about characters we've met, but whatever.
Yeah, I definitely do not want a Lando movie. I don't even really want an Obi-Wan movie, but that'll be at least more interesting, I feel like. I just wish these movies would get further away from the characters we've already seen so much time with. Like, we spent, 4 movies with Obi-Wan Kenobi now?
Yeah, and it's like, I feel like maybe it's just the prequel's fault, and maybe it's George's fault. I wish that movie was more Obi-Wan centric. Obviously, it's Anakin's story, but at the same time, I feel like there really could have been a lot more that they could have done with that relationship, because I never believed in it, and I don't think I ever will. I just feel like the prequels were a missed opportunity to really dive into that, you know, brother and that brotherly relationship. There was a movie recently that I watched where I was like, this is what that relationship should have been, and I'm not remembering it off the top of my head, but there was another movie I was watching where they just really nailed this sort of relationship where there was like this mentor figure, and they sort of formed this bond because of they lost somebody, and I don't know, whatever. Anyways, yeah, I really want them to get away from a lot of the main timeline of the saga films, because I feel like when Disney said they were announcing spin-off films, I was like, okay, this is a great opportunity to visit other corners of the galaxy. Not everything needs to be in relation to one another, and you don't need to fill these gaps, because Rogue One is literally a 2-hour adventure to just fill a plot hole that you could have easily inferred just from watching the movie.
Yeah.
And then Solo, like, even though it's cool to see more of Han because obviously he's only in 4 films, at the same time it's like we already know quite a bit about this character. Do we really need to know more? And then with Lando, he's basically like another Han already, so it's like, how many more of these stories are you going to tell about like heists? Like, because Rogue One and Solo are heist films.
Yeah, when
so
I heard
it's
about
like,
anthology films, I was like, oh, we're gonna get like Old Republic, and we're gonna get like this Underworld Coruscant movie that's been going around forever, and we're like, that'll be a great way to expand the universe. And they're like, no, let's just like expand on this one time. Like, let's do another New Hope prequel. Let's do 3 New Hope prequels that are all in the same like 2 months of each other, and it's all gonna overlap, and Darth Vader's gonna be in all 3 of them. And
I just wish that Darth Vader was just on every poster from now on, just to just be a major selling point, just in the background.
yeah, and Iron Man and Spider-Man flying too.
Just like random explosions everywhere. I just feel like they should fully embrace the meta and just go all out on Darth Vader and just have Spider-Man and Iron Man in there. That'd be pretty funny. But I wouldn't be surprised if Darth Vader was in this movie. I really wouldn't. Because I don't know. What if he just has what if Darth Vader's just in every spin-off film from now on? He just has a scene where he's just slaughtering people.
Yeah, even
That
if it
would be
doesn't
the
make any sense
funniest
in
thing.
context, they're just like, oh, and let's cut to a scene of Darth Vader killing a bunch of people.
Meanwhile, yeah. Oh man, that'd be hilarious if Disney just started trolling people. Like, they just heard the outcries from all the people that were pissed off at them and just was like, all right, you really want to be pissed off? Here you go. Here's more Darth Vader. Anyways, it's gonna be a good time tomorrow. I think I don't think the theaters are gonna be sold out by any means, a la Force Awakens or Last Jedi, but I feel like it's gonna be a solid time. I think I'm going with my mom. She's a big Star Wars fan. She only ever goes to the movies for Star Wars and Pixar movies. So I'm taking her for her birthday and like a late Mother's Day gift. So we're gonna grab dinner. We're gonna go to the movie, and she loves Han Solo just as much as I do, you know. And she was a big character in her life, and obviously she's not getting Harrison Ford, which I still think would have been an amazing choice, just to have Harrison Ford just play a young Han Solo.
That would be so
just
ridiculous.
that would be absolutely hilarious. But it should be fun. I don't expect to love it. I don't expect to completely hate it. But there are things in there that have me concerned for just what I love about Han. And I really want this to be a movie, because people have also been saying that they're promising, like, in a way, like more Han Solo films. And it's like, I don't know if we need that. Like, we really don't need
Let's
that.
get through one movie first before we start doing a trilogy.
Yeah.
And I think that's a little. I mean, he's signed on for more movies, but that doesn't mean they're going to make more movies. I mean, it's the same Disney approach where they sign people on for more than they're probably going to do.
Yeah.
I saw Felicity Jones is signed on for 3 movies, and she's obviously not going to be coming back in a sequel to Rogue One because she's dead. But I think it's just a safe
she's Rey's
to,
mom.
just in case.
She's Rey's mom.
Oh, yeah, she actually raised
She's
mom. It's a spoiler here. Her and Obi-Wan Kenobi get together.
Oh man, the Star Wars universe is so insane.
That's the Kenobi movie. It's him and Felicity Jones.
That would be hilarious. That would be too good. Man, what else? There's not really too much else to talk about. Box office. What are your box office predictions? I mean, I'm gonna go 125, 130.
It's pretty good.
Probably somewhere.
I could see it doing like 135, a little bigger than you, I think. Oh, I don't know. These reviews are not very inspiring.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not bad reviews, but it's nothing that's going to turn people around who haven't been sold on the movie. There's no one who's like, oh, I saw this review, so now I'm going to go see the movie. Everyone's like, yeah, see this review, confirm my fears, I'm not seeing the movie. And
yeah. And also too, like, I feel like that we're gonna see a huge influx of videos where people are gonna be like, "Oh, see, look, my boycott worked." It's like, yes, the movie was a complete failure, even though it made $100.
Yeah, we're gonna see certain channels be like, "Oh, see, this is why SJWs are ruining Star Wars because no one's seeing Solo movie." And it's like, no, people just didn't want to see a Han Solo movie. It could be anything in that, and people aren't really gonna want to see it.
Yeah, and even if you look at the consensus of Rotten Tomatoes, which has always been something that I've looked at to sort of gauge, because here's how I use Rotten Tomatoes. I look at the thing, at the percentage, and I'm like, here's my chances that I'm gonna like it or dislike it, and that's literally it. because then it opens up pathways for me to look at other reviews of people. And I've seen a lot of people say that if you're someone who doesn't like when movies prey on your nostalgia, this won't be for you. But if you're someone that takes value in that, you're going to have a good time. I've seen lots of people say that, it's a super fun movie with a great heist flick, great characters, great music, and great cinematography, a huge technical achievement for Star Wars. There's lots of cool things that I'm hearing, but lots of bad things that I'm hearing, and I feel like that's probably where I'm going to fall, and I feel like audiences are going to dictate that as well. With Deadpool 2 being surprisingly as good as or better than I expected, I think that could take quite a bit of money away, so maybe it'll fall like around 115 million. But I feel like if the box office fails to meet expectations and makes it in just over 100, because I think there's no way this movie gets under $100 million.
No.
It's still a Star Wars movie. That name is still there, even though people aren't big on Last Jedi and they're not anticipating this that much. It's got to make at least 100 million, and I feel like maybe it could tell Disney like, hey, you need to make something else, do something different, and that's why I'm so excited for Rian Johnson's trilogy. I seriously cannot wait for that. So.
Yeah, I'm really. It'll be interesting to see what the general fan consensus is after the movie comes out, because right now we've pretty much only been seeing critic thoughts, and I think it'll be interesting to see where the fans come down on it, because I think after The Last Jedi, the Star Wars fan base is really poised to either love or hate the next movie that comes out, and I think it'll be interesting to see the reactions. Like, are people going to just pounce on this movie and tear it apart, and it's going to be known as like a terrible movie in the fan base, even if it's not that bad, it's just an okay movie? Because I think they have a big hill to climb after The Last Jedi, let a lot of people down. And I think even though I liked it a lot and you love it, I think they do have a battle to win in these next few movies to try and get the fan base back on their side. So this will either be a step towards that direction by making a pretty solid movie that's going to cater to nostalgia but get the fans to be like, okay, that was all right, it was good. Or it's just going to be like, that's more of what I didn't want, and it's going to be hard to see what episode 9 is.
Yeah, that movie is going to be huge in terms of what it does for Star Wars and box office, but that's it. Like, because next year the plan is to go to Celebration still. The more I think about it, the more I don't know if I can just drop money like that. But I really want to go. Really, really want to go and hang out with like you and like a bunch of other people and whatnot, and it would just be such a good time. But Star Wars Celebration next year is going to be huge.
Yeah, I'll definitely be going just because I think it's going to be that last big celebration, because it's right before episode 9 comes out, and it's going to be like this big culmination of the last trilogy, and maybe setting up what's going to be coming after that. But I feel like episode 9 and this moment right now is going to be like the height that Star Wars gets to, and I think after episode 9, even if they do the 10, 11, 12, they're never going to hit like the peak height of this trilogy again, I think. Everyone rushed out to see 7 because it was such a big moment to return to Star Wars. And 8, everyone rushed out to see how they're going to continue it, and then people came out saying, no, this is controversial, I want to see what this is going to be. And 9 will be, how are they going to wrap this up? How are they going to return from Last Jedi?
Are they going to retcon Luke's death?
Yep.
Are they going to retcon Rey's parents?
God.
I really hope JJ doesn't do that. I feel like he might, but because to me still, when I hear J.J. Abrams, I mean, maybe he's just supposed to say these things, because even people are like, see, look, Harrison Ford liked Solo. It's like, really?
Yeah.
Do you really think he's going to say that it sucked?
Like when James Gunn tweets, oh, it was a great Marvel movie, he's like, was he going to tweet out and say, oh, I hated it. Don't see Infinity War, it's bad. Like,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And, it's exciting for episode 9. It's exciting for JJ to come back, but I just get a little worried that he's going to undo some things, but I still feel like he believes in what Rian Johnson did. And he's a filmmaker that was basically mentored by Steven Spielberg, so I feel like he understands the importance of other filmmakers' work, and I don't think he's going to do that. So we'll see. But big time for Star Wars right now. Solo, get excited, don't be excited, whatever, boycott the movie if you're going to boycott the movie. Don't want to see you there anyways. That'll do it for that big segment of the show.
Wait.
And now we've got 2 segments left before we gotta go. But this one I like to call Rant or Rave. One movie you want to rave about or rant about. It could be a first-time watch, rewatch, or a movie you love or hate.
All right. I was thinking about this a couple days, thinking what I was going to pick, and 2001: A Space Odyssey is back in theaters this week for the anniversary. It's showing here in Chicago. It's on film for I think I can't remember what year anniversary it is. I think it's 50.
50. Yeah.
And I'm seeing it tonight, so I'm really excited for it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and
So
it'll be amazing to see that in a theater. Just the visuals alone, it's gonna be incredible to watch. And on film too. You don't really see movies on film ever, other than like a Tarantino movie or something that you go out of your way to see in
a
film.
Nolan flick. Yeah.
It's sort of like a dying medium, and I think it'll be really exciting not just to see a movie on film, but to see like one of the best movies of all time on film, and to see such a visual masterpiece.
On the big screen, man. That's gonna be an experience.
Especially because the movie is such a visual movie. Like, so much of the story and the characters and the world are all established in the visuals. And I think a lot of that will have so much more impact on the big screen than it will on my TV at home, like I've been watching it for so long. And
yeah,
I'm really excited for it. In a film theater full of people, and on the biggest screen.
Yeah,
you can
in a theater full of people that love it.
Because no one's going to go out there just, oh, look what's playing tonight, 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's all going to be people who came out of their way to see it. So it'll be really exciting.
Yeah, I'm so jealous. Every day I look on websites to see if it's playing anywhere near me and when I have time, and it's not possible. And it's really unfortunate because it's one of those. It's the only movie I've ever watched back to back. Because you know how a lot of people do I saw Infinity War, I'm going to see it again right after. I saw Force Awakens twice in one night or whatever. For me, it was 2001: A Space Odyssey. I watched that movie and I instantly was like, I need to watch that again. That's a long day. I have to. Yeah, it really is. I watched it. Well, I mean, I got some sleep in between because I saw it right before I went to bed, and then I woke up and rewatched it. So I had that in between, but it's the only movie I've ever watched. Boom, boom, just like that. And it's a movie that is so good, and it's kind of funny too because season 2 of 13 Reasons Why is out, and there's an episode or a part of an episode where 2 of the characters completely take a dump on that movie. And I was watching it with my girlfriend, and I just collapsed on the ground. I was like, this is not the art that we should be putting out there, just dumping on art like that. But because they talk about how pretentious its fans are and how painful it is to sit through it, and I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah, I think it's a movie that modern audiences just will not connect to. The pacing is so slow and so deliberate, methodical. And I think anyone who thinks that a movie like Avengers: Infinity War is too long, or Batman v Superman's too boring, how are you gonna sit through 3 hours of people just standing in hallways and it's such a slow movie, but you have to
spaceships floating.
I mean, that's why I'm happy to see it in theater, because you're gonna remove all temptation to get on your phone or to walk and do something else. You're gonna sit there and look at the screen, you're gonna take it in, and that's the best way to do it. There's no looking at your phone, there's no going out anywhere else. You're watching the movie, you're engaging with the movie, and if you come out of that and don't like it, that's fine, but at least you sat there, you engaged, and you watched it. You didn't background watch it. Because I've always seen people where, they'll come over and I'll show a movie I really like, and then they'll be sitting there on their phone half the time, and they'll be like, oh, it was kind of confusing. And I'll be like, well, if you paid attention, it might have made more sense.
Yeah, that happens all the time. I'll show one of my family members a movie, and they'll be like, yeah, it was alright, didn't really get it. And I was like, well, you weren't paying attention. Just engage with the movie. That's all it asks. And the big thing is that seeing a movie in theaters is the best way to just simply view a movie. Even a movie like Pacific Rim Uprising, which is garbage, the reason that I disliked it as much, or I liked it more than I probably should have, is because at least it was in a theater, and because it enhances the experience with sound, the huge screen or whatever. And seeing 2001 on a big screen, it honestly, if I were to ever get that opportunity, it could probably unseat a film in my top 10 because of that experience alone. I just want to be in a theater and just hear that amazing score at the beginning. I just want to see the apes evolve for the first 25 minutes with no dialogue. I want to see the transition from the bone to the spaceship. I want all of that. I want to see that amazing, incredible, emotional ending. Personally, I feel like that ending really gets to me every time.
Yeah, that ending is going to be such an experience in theaters. The visuals of that ending, just the visceral music and everything in that ending adds together just this experience, and it's not a straightforward ending where they tell you what happens. It's just you have to sort of emotionally react, and I think it's going to be a great experience tonight. I'm very excited
Yeah, I'm very jealous, and I'm very excited for you, because we've talked about that movie enough. I feel like we're some of the two biggest fans of that movie in our space and of our age group, because a lot of people, obviously, well, don't really like it, and that's okay. So, awesome, super pumped for you, man, super excited. Last segment, fun one. It's only going to take a minute long. I hope you've prepared yourself mentally for this.
I've tried.
The ABCs of movies. You have 1 minute to name a movie that starts with each letter of the alphabet. Rules, like all rules, or all games come with rules. Movies must start with the letter of the alphabet. The Greatest Showman only counts for T and not G. Can't skip a letter. When it comes to franchise films, you must give an entire title of the movie. Harry Potter does not count. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets does. So you've been listening, I think, outside of like my girlfriend and like a couple of my family members and some other people as well. You're someone that listens on a consistent basis, so you already know what's up. But just in case anyone new is listening out there, I'm gonna give you a couple seconds, sort of calm yourself. Let me know when you're ready. I'm a countdown from 3. When I say go is when the timer starts.
All right. I am ready.
Okay, so let's see, we got 1 minute, 0 seconds, and starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. A, Annabelle. B, Be Buried. C, Children of the Corn. D, Dawn of the Dead. E, Evil Dead. F, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. G, Gone with the Wind. H, Halloween. I, Inception. J, Jaws. K, Killing Them Softly. L, God. You get that one letter that just sticks. La La Land.
There, time. That's 11.
God.
You got 11. And the big takeaway from that, out of all the episodes I've done, 3 times
I don't
Killing
know
Them
why.
Softly has
as soon
been.
as I said it, I was like, that's been said so many times. It's stuck in my head.
It's so weird. Out of all the movies, Killer Elite, Kingsman, Kill Bill, what other K movies are there? Karate Kid. Oh wait, that's T. King Kong, Kingdom of Heaven, Kick Ass. So many Ks, and then Killing Them Softly is the deep cut for a lot of people. That is hilarious. So me, you, and Mikey are all on the same wavelength, I guess, for Ks
Somehow.
these days. But great job, 11. That would put you at 3rd place out of everyone that's participated. Me and Mikey tied for 1st. Brady 2nd with, I think, 13 or 14, and then you with 11. So you got La La Land in right at the end there. So good job, Tristan.
I'll be back on just so I can beat my record.
Definitely. Another great episode today. Again, I was just so excited to have you on and to just chat about Star Wars and, chat about Jake Gyllenhaal and just, a couple other things as well. And just to have you play the ABCs of movies, man. You did a great job. So we're going to sign off. I know that you've got somewhere to be very shortly. Very exciting opportunity for you. So go ahead and plug where you're at on the internet, what you're doing, what you're coming up with.
Yeah, you can find me online at tristanmayermedia.com and on Facebook it's Tristan TV. I'll be posting all my reviews there. Solo tomorrow night, maybe Friday morning, depending how tired I am coming out of that theater. Plus, you can find my podcast. This week is the first episode. I'll be on with my friend Andy. We'll be talking about Deadpool 2, doing a spoiler discussion. So if you want to hear what we talk about Deadpool 2 in detail, because my reviews I'll do spoiler free, so my podcast will be where I talk about spoilers and my thoughts and detail the things I couldn't say in my review. So if you want to hear about that or you want to hear my thoughts on Solo, head over to tristanmayermedia.com.
Nice. Yeah, I can't wait to listen. I'm very excited. And it's so cool how, because when I told you that when I wanted to start the podcast, I wanted to have an episode where we just preview everything, and you can find us on social media where we review everything and support us there if you support us here. And then your way of going about it is that you don't talk about spoilers in reviews, but in podcasts you will, and that's really cool. It's a really good idea. So
Thank you.
I'm excited to listen to that. Can't wait.
Yeah, let me know what you think.
Can't wait for, yeah, of course, and I can't wait to listen to more of what you read more of what you come out with. You're a great writer. So yeah, definitely check him out, guys. Tristan is awesome.
Thank
Great
you.
dude. Add him on Facebook. Check him out in Movie Talk by Movie Fans. He's super cool. It's just a Midwest blood, man. We're all cool from the Midwest.
We all love our movies. Not much else to do, so you gotta do something.
Yeah, exactly. It's too hot. It's too humid to go outside. It's always gross in the winters, so just stay inside and watch some movies. And everyone knows where they can find me, Roman's Movie Reviews, on Facebook. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more episodes of the Showtime with Roman podcast. Hit that notifications button to get a nice ding when I upload a new episode. I'll also be writing my solo review for Shifter Magazine again this week. I wrote it for Deadpool 2 last week. A great opportunity over there, and really glad that they brought me on. It kind of blew me away. I wrote the review as soon as I got out of the theater. I finished it in about 45 minutes to an hour, and then he had it edited and uploaded within a half hour of me letting him know. And so it kind of blew me away, because usually I'm familiar with waiting like 1 or 2 days for my articles or reviews to go up, and it was super great to have someone that edited the article to be better than what it was and get it up in a very quick amount of time to make sure it was still relevant to the release of the film. And so I'm really glad to be over there. I'm really excited, and maybe I'll be writing some articles for them, but I'm kind of just pacing myself out. I definitely have plans for more video editorials shortly. I know I feel like I say that every week, but I'm still kind of thinking of ideas, and I've been working a lot more than usual, actually. So, yeah, that'll be it. Thanks for listening once again, guys. Make sure to share. Yeah, and thank you again, Tristan, for being on. Really glad I had you on. So, thank you guys for listening once again. Keep on watching movies. Keep on supporting 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Please.
See Solo this week, and let me know what you guys think of it. I can't wait to chat about it. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and keep on watching movies.